fake news.
It's everywhere.
Literally everywhere.
Experts still think that parents should trust them and inject their kids with an experimental drug.
These are, after all, experimental drugs, and they're behaving like it.
As he braces and fights the win Friday, check out the two guys who seem to walk right by him in the background there with no trouble.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
I don't take questions from CNN. CNN is fake news. I don't take questions from CNN. John Roberts of Fox. Let's go to a real net.
According to Professor Jennifer Kavanaugh and Michael Rich at the University of Oregon, the definition of fake news is any outlet that intentionally portrays false information. According to the Pew Research Center, 86% of American adults claim they receive their news from their phones or computers. 68% of American adults access their news through websites, and 53% receive their news from social media.
Fake news has been especially prevalent in the last decade, as it constantly influences people's political, social, and economic actions. This issue has become more relevant in recent years, as the majority of people are consumers of media outlets, making the spread of false information available to thousands, if not millions of people within seconds.
Of course there's fake news. And I think that's the greatest threat to real journalism. People try to make the case that Donald Trump or anybody else attacking journalism is a threat to our democracy. Fake news is the greatest threat to our democracy because it's a threat to real journalism.
Thomas Jefferson once said, "A well-informed electorate is prerequisite to democracy." Fake news is a threat to a well-informed electorate and therefore a threat to the foundation of our democracy.
But a challenge for democracy, because how do you have a healthy democracy and a well-functioning civil society if we cannot even agree on a baseline set of facts?
The distrust in mainstream news has become increasingly evident in recent years. However, it has become a partisan issue. Data reveals that 71% of conservatives see mainstream media as the primary source of fake news, whereas only 5% of liberals share this perspective. The dividing power of fake news became evident in the transformation of COVID-19 from a healthcare crisis to a politically dividing partisan issue.
We're seeing the growth of these so-called pink slime sites. So these are fake newspapers, fake news sites that are being created by, in many cases, partisan ideologues on both sides, although they tend to be more right than left, and also being created by companies, in some cases as kind of propaganda, public relations vessels.
A wave of conspiracy theories and falsehoods spread throughout platforms such as Facebook and WhatsApp. Researchers held surveys with various news-related topics such as the pandemic and discovered that 36% of those who relied on social media as their main source of news believed that the virus came from a lab and was part of a government conspiracy. Fake news is also used by influencers and companies to change and inform society. In the entertainment industry, fake news and biased media is always pushed ahead of the truth.
I was working for an entertainment website, and it was a very bias-leaning website. So the particular subject, we had to kind of say nice things about them. And we call it a fluff piece in journalism. So when it's a fluff piece, you want to make sure it's more of a bias, a good bias for that particular person, the subject that you're writing about.
The sources that Americans get their information from have changed drastically the past few decades as digital platforms have experienced rapid public engagement. The U.S. government has long been hesitant to address fake news and misinformation, especially with the advent of the digital age.
We don't have Fox. In the UK, in fact, UK Fox years ago was suspended by the regulator there. And a lot of European countries have regulators in place that play a role in regulating the media, making sure that, for example, hate speech is under control or libel laws are enforced. The US, with its First Amendment, has always been much more wary of such systems of regulation. The free press is built into the Constitution, literally.
Policymakers should better regulate social media companies and how they use user info. However, this has also been proved to be difficult in reaching such results.
So online, you have content moderators who work to eliminate sort of the major platforms from the biggest lies, right? If you've been following, for instance, what's happening at Twitter, Like their whole content moderation team has gone kaput, basically. And even though Facebook has content moderators all over the world, there's still plenty of bad stuff that gets out there.
The United States Congress should pursue legislative changes to help solve the problem presented by fake news. Increasing funding of investigative or ethical journalism could happen through payroll and advertising tax credits. Local news and journalists would be able to use such tax credits to encourage long-term sustainability.
I think that news consumers are willing to pay for that. If they see that the local news organization is serious about that type of journalism and coverage of their community, and if there's kind of a value proposition for customers to pay for it, if they see the impact.